Hi, Dark Shades again. Yeah, this video is about why we need significant others in our lives. Now, I've done this video because so many people say they don't need a significant other. They're doing bad all by themselves. But I'm going to tell you about another side of why people need significant others. Now, we have the social networks, of course, that can fill a void, but sometimes you go on social networks and you can feel judged if you go on too often, or if you go on early hours of the morning and can't sleep. You know, you'll get somebody writing this little comment, "Can't you sleep?" You know, and you kind of think, oh, hold on a minute. You don't even expect anybody to be up, but if they're up, you know, what is their problem? But it kind of inhibits you. It inhibits how you communicate and when you can communicate. It also reinforces the fact that you're lonely and you probably don't have a life. So while Facebook and all those social networks fill a void with regard to creating a kind of a network, it's not always enough. Then you can have friends. Friends don't always cut it either, because sometimes you need different friends for different things. So things you'll tell one friend you can't necessarily tell another friend, and so you're kind of restricted and you don't always get that sense of connection. And sometimes, once again, because they don't fill that void for you, you end up on your own. You could say you could be in a relationship and it doesn't fill a void. It doesn't fill all those little holes, but it's a totally different feeling. So, okay, somebody might say, okay, I've got a flatmate who's around all the time. But there again, you can talk about current events and sports and interests regarding your life, and you can discuss work, but still, something is still missing. And I tell you something though, you know, the thing with having a significant other is that emotional connection that you can't have with anybody else. So I said in my previous video about, you know, the infants that needed to be held and touched, and those that weren't held and touched dwindled away, and some of them actually died. And it's so important to have that physical and emotional closeness with another human being. It's not about what you feel superficially you can cope with and you can deal with. It's what the body needs and what the body craves. And some people say, some people might, have a go at me and say, what the hell are you talking about, Dark Shades? I'm doing pretty well by myself. But I tell you something, it translates into something else. You kind of project different behaviours, but you don't know why those behaviours are coming out. But it's because you're lacking that nurturing, you're lacking that physical contact, you're lacking that emotional connection, which is important for all of us to thrive. So whether you get it from a man or a woman, it doesn't really matter. But it's needed. You can't just live an existence without that. So the intimate relationships are essential to our well-being, and the need to belong and a desire for frequent positive interactions with the same individual over a period of time. That's what creates stability, and that's what makes us feel safe and secure. I know relationships can break down, but we're talking about the positive now. So despite the excitement of different romantic partners, for some, especially for men, they like to be on a conquest. Very few of them find it satisfying in the long run. There's always that need for stable, caring interactions, and they're much more meaningful. So despite destructive relationships that people are often reluctant, people will be in an abusive relationship or a destructive relationship. They stay in there because they don't want to break that romantic bond, because there's still something in that relationship that for them is positive that they need. And it's usually that emotional nurturance, that emotional connection. That's why you find people in abusers, because they abuse them, and then the next minute they hold them and they hug them and they nurture them. It's like that push-pull all the time. But because they crave that nurture and that touch, they end up going back in that destructive relationship. So the need to belong goes beyond any need for social or sexual interactions. It's a need, according to Maslow, for belonging, which is crucial to our well-being. And our well-being means feeling good, and it's a profound bonding. I mean, Maslow, as I say in many of my other videos, he was one of these scientists and, you know, very well renowned, Maslow. Look up his hierarchy of needs, which he says are essential to our well-being. And I don't remember them all in order, but the basis I know is home, food, sleep, and sex. That's the first level that needs to be satisfied before you go up to the next level. I think the next level is feeling safe and secure. And until you feel safe and secure, you can't get up to the next level. So you have your food and all that kind of stuff, which is basic needs. And then you go up to security and safety, which is the next level. And then you go up to a sense of belonging. I'm not sure if belonging comes before safety, but then you have that need of belonging, which has to be met before you can self-actualize. There's one in the middle, but I can't remember what that one is. But we're built to have our needs met. So it's got nothing to do with your superficial choice of what you want. It's about what the body and your mind and your soul needs. It needs another person. And that's why we need significant others in our lives. I'm going to stop it there, and I'm going to come back with part 2.